The Book of the Damned, by Charles Hoyfort, Chapter 20H. In Nature, Volume 90, page 169, Charles Tilden Smith writes that, at Chisbury, Wiltshire, England, April 8, 1912, he saw something in the sky, unlike anything that I had ever seen before. Although I have studied the skies for many years, I have never seen anything like it. He saw two stationary dark patches upon clouds. The extraordinary part, they were stationary upon clouds that were rapidly moving. They were fan-shaped or triangular and varied in size, but kept the same position upon different clouds as cloud after cloud came along. For more than half an hour Mr. Smith watched these dark patches. His impression as to the one that appeared first, that it was really a heavy shadow cast upon a thin veil of clouds by some unseen object away in the west, which was intercepting the sun's rays. Upon page 244 of this volume of Nature is a letter from another correspondent, to the effect that similar shadows are cast by mountains upon clouds, and that no doubt Mr. Smith was right in attributing the appearance to some unseen object, which was intercepting the sun's rays. But the old dominant, that was a jealous dominant, and the wrath of the old dominant against such an irreconcilability as large, opaque objects in the sky, casting down shadows upon clouds. Still the dominants are so very often, or are not absolute gods, and the way attention was led away from this subject is an interesting study in quasi-divine bamboozlement. Upon page 268, Charles J.P. the meteorologist, writes that, upon April 5th and 8th, at Ditcham Park, Petersfield, he had observed a similar appearance, while watching some pilot balloons, but he describes something not in the least like a shadow on clouds, but a stationary cloud. The inference seems to be the shadows at Chisbury may have been shadows of pilot balloons. Upon page 322, another correspondent writes upon shadows cast by mountains. Upon page 348, someone else carries on the divergence by discussing this third letter. Then someone takes up the third letter mathematically, and then there is a correction of error in this mathematic demonstration. I think it looks very much like what I think it looks like. But the mystery here, that the dark patches at Chisbury could not have been cast by stationary pilot balloons that were to the west, or that were between clouds and the setting sun. If, to the west of Chisbury, a stationary object were high in the air, intersecting the sun's rays, the shadow of the stationary object would not have been stationary, but would have moved higher and higher with the setting sun. I have to think of something that is in accord with no other data whatsoever. A luminous body, not the sun, in the sky, but, because of some unknown principle or atmospheric condition, its light extended down only about to the clouds, that from it were suspended two triangular objects, like the object that was seen in Bermuda, that it was this light that fell short of the earth that these objects intersected, that the objects were drawn up and lowered from something overhead, so that, in its light, their shadows changed size. If microbe seems to have no grasp in it, and if a stationary balloon will, in half an hour, not cast a stationary shadow from the setting sun, we have to think of two triangular objects that accurately maintained positions in a line between sun and clouds, and at the same time approached and receded from clouds. Whatever it may have been, it's enough to make the devout make the sign of the crucible, or whatever the devotees of the old dominant do in the presence of a new correlate.